Alright, this video is going to be a step-by-step process on how you guys can create those super hard-hitting beats, all from scratch in FL Studio. So I will be making the melody first and just explaining my thought process throughout the melody creation, and then I will also put on some drums at the end, so you guys can really nail down the idea of how you can recreate those super hard beats. So let's not waste any more time, let's just jump straight in. Right, so we are now here in FL Studio 21, as you guys can see. First things first, what we actually want to do is just bump the BPM up a little bit. So I think something in between 160 and 170 is pretty much perfect for this super hard hitting vibe. So let's just turn this up from 140 to something like 165. I think it's going to be good. And then the next thing I want to do is just open up a piano. Personal one is going to be this grand piano right here in Omnisphere. You can pretty much go with whatever piano you would like. I'm pretty much just going to use this sound as the main melody to start off with, but it's actually not going to be the main sound. We're just going to make our pattern using this sound right here, and then we can actually just use that same pattern but switch the sound later on, so we can have a little bit of a different vibe. But it is very easy just to make that main melody using a piano, and then like I said, just switch the sound later on. So now we're going to open up the piano roll, and we just need to pick a scale. Obviously we're going to go for a minor scale since we want that dark type of vibe, but I think I'm actually going to go with the C minor scale to start off with. So let's just go down to the C4 and start creating a pattern. Now what we want to make sure is that our pattern is very repetitive, just so it's not too much going on. When the main melody is very repetitive, it's actually very catchy as well. So we're just going to have a simple pattern loop over and over again. Now we've just put down 2 C notes right here, but what I actually want to focus on is actually going to be these half steps right here. These half steps really create a lot of tension, so if you're going for those hard and dark beats, you definitely want to make sure to utilize the half steps in the scale. So we can actually delay this C5 a little bit and start working on the half steps right here. Okay, so we can just have something like this, and then we can just copy it over. Like I said, we want it to be repetitive. We're just going to switch a few notes here and there. Alright, so we're gonna keep these two parts pretty much the same, except for this one note right here. And then on this last section right here, I think we can do a little bit of a switch up, just so it's not the exact same thing over and over again. So to really make that switch up, I think I'm just gonna pitch this up by 1 semitone, and then we can just have this go downwards from this G5. Yeah, that's pretty hard. Alright, so really just to give this melody a final little bit of a touch, what we're actually going to do is just layer some of the notes, but then offset them a little bit so we can have that realistic strum to the pattern as well. So to do this, we're just going to come in here and copy this same exact note. You just want to have it a little bit up like this. You can either highlight both notes and hit Alt and S to strum them like this, so you can see this top one is a little bit offset. Or what you guys can actually do is just highlight this one, hold Alt on your keyboard, and just move the notes slightly to the side. This is pretty much perfect with the layers and everything. Right, so that is pretty much going to be our main repetitive pattern, but as you guys might hear, that piano sound isn't really the perfect one for this one. So what we're going to do now is just use this same exact pattern, and then we're going to switch up the sound, try a few different plugins, maybe a few different presets, and then we can just go from there. We can go with this sound right here. The cool thing about Unclean Machine is that you can mess around with these buttons right here. Ooh, you can hear how it changes the whole thing. Right, so we're gonna go with this preset right here. Although it sounds cool, we still need to add some effects to it though. So it's a bit harsh up in these frequencies right here. So I'm turning off the lows. We're also just really adjusting these high frequencies. Next we're going to add a little bit of ambience using this Roam reverb. Just turning it down to about 20%. Let's get a bit of a vintage feel. So we're going to open up our C20, turn down the distortion. We don't want too much of that going on though. Also going to have this halftime, put the effects all the way to the left so you really get a pulse type of sound. And you also want to make sure to turn off the noise and have it before the EQ to not really get any of those clicking type of sounds either. So this is starting to be hard. Also, I recommend going for a little bit of a chorus. So I'm just using this chord tune 6. I go to the subtle 1 preset and just turn the mix down a bit. Really just that adds that extra bit of touch to the melody. The last thing I'm going to do is actually add a portal using this aqua preset from the Mirage Bank. Just turn down the dry wet knob, and then we can actually just go a bit in and out with this effect right here throughout the whole beat. So this is going to be sauce. Right now that we have that main sound, what we're going to do is actually just clone the omnisphere. So I'm just going to press this button right here, and then what we're going to do is actually just open up a different piano just so we can kind of add those root notes. So since we removed a lot of the low end from the main melody, we're just going to go over to the keyboard section and add this cinematic piano right here, and then put it on the low notes so we can really fill out the bass. So we're just going to put it on the same root notes. So have it right here and extend it out a little bit. Then we're going to highlight this and also turn up the velocity like it was, but pitch it down by 1 octave. Okay. Yeah, that's hard. Make sure to use the half steps again. Yeah, it really gets that tension. Put it down 1 more octave if you want to, and it's really deep. We're gonna go in on a main melody and just pitch everything down, maybe 3 semitones. I feel like it has a better sound to it. Yeah, that's hard. Right, the next thing I want to add to this is just some sort of reverse part we can have in the melody. So I'm thinking something more of an accent we can have on the end of the bar. So to do that, you can just open up any sort of one shot. I've just opened up a random one shot right here. And then you just want to make sure to open it up and also hit reverse right here. Again, you just want to put it on the root note, extend it out, and just duplicate it over. But this time you're actually going to pitch it up a little bit on the higher frequencies. So maybe like 2 octaves up is going to be good. Yeah, that's pretty fire. What we're gonna do to this though is actually open up a roam, because we really want that ambience on the reverse section. Also turn down the volume a bit. Open up an EQ as well. It's nice. Pan it from left to right with a pancake too. Just have this go a bit faster. Alright, so I'm also going to open up our kit and try to find some eerie vocals we can have in the background right before we add the counter melody as well. Just gonna tease the vocal right here and then extend it out all the way at the end. Right now, to really finish the whole thing off, it's time we add that counter melody. Alright, so I did find these 2 phrases and together they sound like this. Very simple, but it really just adds that extra counter. Just some effects and it's good to go. Alright, so now that we have the melody finished, it's time we add some drums. As for the drum sounds I'm using, like you guys know, they are of course coming from the Mirage multi-kit. So if you guys like any of the drum sounds you hear in this video, you can obviously check out the kit. Just go to the first link down in the description, or you can just go on my website, which is BBMarko.com. Regardless, thank you guys so much for the support in the kit. I see a lot of you guys using it. So for you guys that still haven't got the kit, make sure to check it out. As for the drums, we're first just going to start off with a simple clap pattern and then just layer that with a hi-hat. Just a crisp little clap like this. Turn up the velocity so it's a bit crispier. That's it. You also want to make sure to have a fast-paced hi-hat pattern with a lot of rolls. As soon as the clap hits, we have a nice little roll. So just keep that consistent throughout the whole thing. As you guys see, clap, roll, clap and roll. Simple little snare pattern right here, really gives us that bounce we're looking for. Now I also like adding some reverse open hats right before the claps because it really builds up into a nice little punch. So just after the snare bounce, Okay, now it's time we add the 808 and the kick. So first we're just going to add the 808, put it on the C, but remember that we pitched down the whole melody by 3 semitones. So we're gonna have to do 1, 2, 3 down in semitones as well. So the root note should be A right here. Now since we have a shorter but harder hitting 808, I'm actually gonna pitch this up 1 octave so we have it on the A5. Just offset some of the kick hits as well. Alright, so here we have the final beat. So we have a lot of the elements right here. Then it drops. So here we just have 2 sections.